Good evening, Star Wars fans. It's evening here on the West Coast. I believe it's evening on the Central Coast, and of course, it's evening on the East Coast.
East Coast.
Yeah, so normally Dan's plays would be on Thursday, so we're doing a little bit of a special thing where we announce the pods for the Texas Mini Worlds. The pod is so this weekend is going to be the pod weekend where 8 pods come together, play their games, and the top 2 from each pod make it onto the bracket. So with me is the tournament director, the tournament organizer, the man behind the scenes, essentially, Robbie. So Robbie, again, thank you for running this event. I know with everything going on, real world, the thought of like attending a Star Wars event has been shifted to more of an online focus. So thanks for stepping
Right.
up and running this event. So let's go over the event as it is. I know you were on Hollow Theater a few weeks ago, but
Right.
again, everybody who's watching tonight is like, I'm in the event. I want to know more about it. So give us a
So
little bit of
yeah,
the details of it.
so we're starting bright and early Saturday morning with the first pod firing at 6 a.m. Eastern, so 5 a.m. my time,
Oof.
and we should be playing every what is it? I think it's like every
Yeah.
almost every 4 hours on Saturday, because there's one pod at 3 hours and the next two are at 4. Um, So
Mm-hmm.
we'll be playing games on GIMP all the way through until like 11 midnight my time. So that'll be a very long day. And then we get right back up and early at 5 a.m. again the next day and start again until hopefully 10, 8, 9, 10 o'clock that night.
I
So
really hope it's not going to go that long. I really hope, because I told everybody, hey, I'm going to be up Saturday morning to start it off and everything. I don't want to be dead by everything's
Sunday.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying, when we were talking about it. If you need to take a break, I'll more than happy to take it over. I've
Mm-hmm.
done nothing but plan this as a thing I was going to do, so I'm ready to go. I'm actually pumped and excited for it. You know, we've, we've hit 64 people.
Mm-hmm.
We had a few last minute signups that pushed through, and
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that
well,
was fun.
yeah, as I've always said, deadlines are more like guidelines in our community. So, uh, we may, I'm also never going to turn anybody away that wants to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that's just not how I am. I'll figure out a way to get you in there. If I'm playing, you can have my spot. I'm just never going to tell somebody, no, you can't come in and play this game.
Yeah.
Um, and so I will always try to bend over and make something happen to get somebody in there to play. And that's one of the things I really tried to do with this event was not put a cap in it. So if we
Mm-hmm.
hit 100 plus people, cool, it's there. I'm super excited that we hit 64. Uh, I didn't think that was like a lot of people didn't really think that was going to be a possible number to hit, but we managed to get there. So
Yeah.
great. Um, but yeah, like I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these matchups that are coming out. There's a lot of good
Mm-hmm.
players that are playing. There's hopefully going to be a lot of interesting matchups and good games being played. We all get to kind of hang out and Twitch and on Slack or Discord or GIMP and chat and hang
Mm-hmm.
out as a community for 2 days. So yeah, it's not the same as us getting together and playing board games and drinking till 6 a.m. And getting an
Yeah.
hour of sleep before the next day. But you know, we all got to make sacrifices in this time, so this is just the one we got to make.
Yeah. That's very true. So I know you posted some rules and everything, the guidelines and such on the forums. Do you want to go over some of them right now? Because so we have 64 people, so we have
Right.
8 pods of 8 people. How many games is each person going to be playing
Each
Saturday and
person
Sunday?
each person will play a minimum of 4 games. With the 50-minute individual timers, I'm expecting games to last at most around like an hour and a half. Hopefully, they won't
Mm-hmm.
all last that long. So, we could see anywhere between 4 to 6 hours for play for each individual person. Um, so
Okay.
if you start at 6 a.m., you're looking at 10 a.m. noon time being in. If you start at 6 p.m., you're looking at 10 to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those of them that are just playing and kind of hanging out, they won't be so bad.
Mm-hmm.
For people like me and you that are volunteering all day, it could be a
Yeah.
long day.
Yes,
But
and speaking of volunteers, I think we have maybe 8 people signed up right now. So if anybody is willing to volunteer their time to do commentary to help Robbie with the TDing, whatever we need, please get a hold of Robbie, myself, post on the forums, post on Slack. The more people helping out, the better, as always. So
right. And I again, it's just as like I won't turn anybody away from playing. I'm not going to turn anybody away from wanting to help out and do commentary
mm-hmm.
or help run an event. I mean, if you're curious on how to run an event, yeah, hit me up. I'll help you learn how to do this stuff. That way you can step up and do it. For
Mm-hmm.
those that don't know, I didn't. The PC didn't come to me to run this. This was entirely me setting it up. I reached out to Matt Carulli, Scott, and everybody up in the advocates and said, "Hey, I want to do this. Will you guys let
Yeah.
me do this? Here's my plan. Here's what I want to achieve with it." And we went back and forth, and they'd let me run with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people that have been around the community for the last 4 or 5 years know that I've run a lot of our major events over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, Queso and I were talking about it the other day, or actually earlier today, after we saw Ryan. And I think it was Ryan, or was it Jared that did the list? I think it was maybe Jared that did the list of the records from all the majors and stuff over the last since the reset. There was that spreadsheet posted in the forums.
That was Jared.
Yeah, so he posted that, and Queso and I are like, well, we always have to play in them, and so Jerry was talking about doing, or we always volunteer to do stuff rather than play. So
Yeah.
Jerry was talking about, if they had one for volunteers, he said it would probably be between me and him. I was like, nah, Jerry,
Whoa,
you've got
whoa,
it.
whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
he's
whoa!
got it.
Time out. You're forgetting somebody.
Yeah, Hayes has run a bunch of events too, but.
Touche. I want to see where is this at?
What, the volunteer thing?
No.
It was on the forums. I think it was under general discussion. Me
I'll
and
take
Jerry
it.
were
I'll
just
take a
talking about the
look at it.
volunteers
Yeah.
ourselves. We were just because me and him are usually two of the people that give up playing to do stuff. Like I didn't get to play at almost any event in 2016. I think I helped run the NPC. I
Yeah.
helped run Worlds. I helped run Indoor. And I guess I did help run / play at Texas Mini Worlds that year.
Yeah.
The only event I didn't go to was Nationals in Atlanta that year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you've run Worlds a bunch of times. I know you've run Worlds. I know you've run the NPC a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been kind of nice of you just to see that you've put forth a lot of effort with the community and everything. So I know you personally have gone and come up with a bunch of prizes for the event. So you want to go over some of the prizes that people are going to win? I know there's cash, but
right, yeah. So one of the
cash?
things I really, really, really want to do is make sure everybody got some sort of value for it rather than just playing. So there's going to be prizes through the leagues on GIMP. I'll work with Matt and Anthony Howard, Batmouse for everybody else, trying to make sure the prizes for the league come out as well as we can and make sure people get foils or gold or whatever we can give out. And that's just going to be the start. We've got some play mats that you've helped design, and I really love a lot of those graphics that you've done for them. We've got multiple versions. We have some for top 8. We have some that we're going to randomly give away. We have a pin that we're going to send out. We have store credit that I've put up for those that don't make the top 8, which isn't really cash, but it plays like it in some places.
Yeah, I was going to say, with all the cards spiking right now, I know Chris Gogolin will be more than willing to negotiate fair prices for cards. So if you do win some store credit, hit up Chris and buy some cards from the PC.
Yeah. And then I've got some other things I'm trying to push through
Mm-hmm.
that I haven't found a place here that will do it yet with fair value for what we're trying to do. But I'd like to get some. Uh, Basically, I guess the easiest way to describe them would be computer bags, but they're the old like squadron bags for anybody that remembers the
Mm-hmm.
original Decipher squadron leaders and like the Lord of the Rings players. They had little bags that they could put their binders and decks and everything in. I'm going to try to get some of those embroidered with the Texas Mini Worlds logo and things like that on there. And then
Okay.
since they will be given out at random, I'll have people's names, and you'll get this as a at a later date kind of prize as I get it embroidered with your name and the
Yeah.
logo and everything. So you'll be able to look for that. We've got some special playmounts that we're going to give out at random. I'm working with the PC trying to get some foil V slips. I know we have some that we're going to do for sure.
Yes.
I was trying to get some extra ones done as well, so we'll see what I can actually push through. Um, and yeah, I mean, if I can find somewhere to do T-shirts, I might try to get some T-shirts going.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
Scott was taking care of those.
oh, easy, okay.
Yeah. So
And then what everybody really, really wants to see is the Texas Shape Trophy that goes to the winner at the end of this. This will be something else that will come later because I really want to do something special and make sure their name is
yeah.
engraved on it, which I can't do if I don't know who wins. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd just put Brian Fred's name on it because everybody loves Brian Fred. Uh,
Except his cat.
yeah. No. But yeah, so
Yeah.
we're gonna get a lot of prizes out there. Don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like you have to make the top 16 or top 8 to get anything. That's not the goal of this at all.
Yeah.
It's trying to spread the prizes out to everybody so everybody gets something, has a chance to get something cool.
So just a reminder, people, you're allowed to submit 2 deck lists for each side. Deck lists should be submitted to where, Robbie?
So there's a post on the forums where I posted the email address. I'm pretty sure it's decklist at starwarsccg.org.
Yes.
Um, and so in GIMP, you can export, not do the export, but there's like a deck list option.
Mm-hmm.
Choose that.
Yeah.
It'll basically put everything into a text file, and you can just copy it to Notepad, save it, or you can even just copy it into the message of the email. Either way is fine.
I was gonna say, what about taking screenshots of your deck?
I would prefer not doing that. I mean, it's something people could do, but there's that nice little feature in the
Yeah.
tool we're using to play. And what people that may not realize is that tool allows you to export it to us in a text file. That means the work on the back end to get it up and posted for everybody to see after is super quick, and we can possibly turn it around within a day or two
Yeah.
because there's going to be 128 so there's 256 decks that will be submitted, which is a lot more than we've
Yeah.
ever had at any event. So we're going to need all the help we can get in getting quick turnaround time. So please
Yeah.
do the deck list function and submit it in email to there, and we'll get it turned around. And like I was saying, I've answered a question on the forums where if you choose the same deck for both of your games, all of your decks are still going to get posted for your deck list. I'm not going to sort through and spend that time. If you submit it, it will get posted. I'm going to try to get it as posted as quickly as possible after the top cut is announced, and hopefully they'll be out there before the games are played. But like everything else, I make no promises because life happens, and I hope people are, at least reasonable enough to understand that our lives don't just revolve around this event. And as much as we want to get things turned around,
True.
sometimes things come up. So
Yeah, that's a good point. So, and there's something else I wanted to bring up. So with the top 16, you're only going to be playing one deck, correct?
One deck per each side. It'll be match play, right? Okay. So for those that don't know what match play is, which I hope aren't too many people at this point, you play one opponent, you play both sides or both decks, your light side and dark side against them. Diff does matter in those. The person with the
Mm-hmm.
best record at the end, if you both win a game, it comes down to your diff, who won by more life force. Essentially, will move on to the next round.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you'll want to play decks again that can win big, or just even sometimes win and put pressure on. There's a lot of strategy in match play. But
Yeah.
those games will be played at each individual's availability. I'm hoping that most people that are playing those games will let somebody know, either you or me or somebody, and then we can
Yeah.
get some streaming and some commentary going for their game as they play it live, and we can stream it on Twitch. I know that's not always going to happen, but hopefully it will. And I know our community is really good about trying to work
Yes.
with us on doing it, especially for semifinals and finals like games. So
Very true.
um, this will be the event that lasts a few weeks, rather than just a weekend. So
Yeah, and I kind of like that because of that. We'll get to see a lot of Star Wars because there's. I mean, I
yeah,
know I personally am still unemployed, so I'll be able to do as much as I can, unless of course I have to play like watch Bastion. So I know Bastion is playing, so it's gonna be interesting to see like when he can schedule an event or his games, because
right.
I'm assuming he's gonna make the top 16.
Yeah,
So
I mean him, Matthew Harrison Trainer. I mean he's over in New Zealand right now,
true.
so
Yeah.
he's gonna have some fun trying to get some games in possibly. But I've never seen us have a problem between two players scheduling a
Mm-hmm.
match at this point.
Yeah.
We've been doing the GIMP NPCs and then stuff like that. And when it comes down to like the finals and things like that, maybe in like Swiss play and some of the lesser events towards the end, people have some trouble. But most people realize, hey, look, it's on me. I was busy this week. I
Yeah.
have to drop. Like I know me and PMJ, I had some issues playing with him in the NPC consolation. The internet I was on was pretty much dial up. It was a 5 Mbps DSL connection. It was struggling on GIMP. Uh, so I told him, I was
That's
like,
fair.
man, I'm not going to put you through it. I'll just concede, and we can play the game again later when we get a chance, and we can have some fun with it and just see what could have happened. But I didn't
Yeah.
want to like make him, have to deal with my schedule and everything. It was on me, so
That's
I
fair.
can scoop. And I think a lot of people do that, and so I think it's a good way to handle the top cuts a lot of times in our tournaments and events
Yeah.
going forward, especially online.
Okay, so at this point, I think it's time we release the pods.
Let's do
So
it.
we have again, we have 8 pods with 8 players. You'll will
One
we
thing, I do want to answer Joe's question in chat. He said, even if all deck lists can't be posted before match play, I will make sure the top 16 can get turned around really fast.
Yeah.
That way they can see what's been played. And then, so those will be the first ones posted. If we can't do a quick turnaround, I'll make sure they're so posted before any play happens. So yes, I will. I will let Joe get that one in for Joe before we move on to the pods.
So the top 16, once they send you their deck list, Sunday night, we will have 16 people advancing
Correct.
to the top 16. When will they have to submit the deck list to you, and will they be available to view before the top 16 happens?
So the deck list for Swiss and the pod play has to be submitted by Friday at
Yes.
11:59 Eastern Daylight Time. So what Joe was talking about was basically to kind of balance out like scouting and things like that, submitting the decks that everybody in the top 16 the decks that everybody in the top 16 what they submitted, posting those online so that way those in the top 16 can see what people played in the event and
Okay,
make deck decisions based around that.
that's fair.
So that's what I was going to do, because I'll know, by probably 4 or 5 p.m. on Sunday, I'll know, 14 of the top 16 people, because
Yeah.
7 pods will be done. And that's one of the beauty aspects of this is we get 2 people every 3 or 4 hours. We know who top 2 of the top 16 are.
Yes.
So I can take their deck list, put those aside, and have those almost immediately posted on Sunday right after the games.
Yeah.
So that way the top 16 can do their deck manipulation against each other and try to figure out and one up each other. But yeah, they uh, So the top 16, top 8, top 4, and top 2, each of those rounds they can submit new decks. Each round they just have to submit both the light side and dark side deck to that deck list email right before they play their match or one game in their match. So let's say me and you make the top 16 and we're scheduled to play each other, and we find out on Sunday we're scheduled to play, and we want to play our first game on Tuesday. So before we play on Tuesday, we have to submit both our light and dark side decks to that email address.
Okay. So, you know what? I think before we announce the pods, we're going to go into the top 16, how that is paired up, because Chris Gogolin just actually asked that question. So we're going to show, Robbie actually came up with a bracket on how it's going to look like. So,
and for our soccer fans, this will kind of look very similar to what you guys can see and know about.
Okay. So here is the bracket itself. So you have it down into pods of A through H. So, for example, game 1 will be pod A winner playing pod H's second place.
Correct.
So,
and for those that are wondering, pod A, when I did the pods, I ranked the top 8 in an order from 1 through 8. So pod A would be the highest ranked seed in the tournament. So pod A will have the number 1 overall seed. If they make it through as a pod A winner, they will be in that spot. Pod H is basically the 8th seed and their bracket. So they won't play the winner of the pod H, which is the 8th seed. They'll play the second place, which would, in theory, in this case, be like a 16 seed. So it'd be like 1 through 16. And so you can see I kind of tried to do that all the way down. And then, it gets kind of weird when you start doing winners and second places, trying to get them to in the next round. But this is the way they do this at the World Cup, as Jared so kindly posted in chat. And that's kind of what I was trying to make this event kind of mirror. And that way we don't have to do reseeding. We don't have to do anything like that. If, our number 1 overall seed, in pod A gets knocked out in Swiss, well, then you know what? We shouldn't have to reseed because somebody just beat our number 1 seed. They should take that spot, in my opinion.
Exactly, so, and I like that idea. That's a great idea, Robbie.
So I mean, I think this is a really fun kind of way to do it, and I think it'll be interesting. Like you may not know, obviously, the pod A winner is not going to know who they're playing until late Sunday either.
Exactly.
And some of the other people aren't going to know right away. Like some of them will, some of them won't, and it'll be kind of interesting. Like, some people from in the Sunday games can look at it and be like, oh, Bastion is 1, so if I'm in pod H, maybe I want to go and finish second instead of first, so I don't have to play Bastion. And I think it's a really unique kind of aspect to that. Hopefully it doesn't lead to any collusion or anything, but I think it is all in fun. So hopefully people try to have fun with it.
So after this, I'll go ahead and post this graphic onto the forums just so it is a little bit better explained. So that way, as people finish up their games and you're like the number 1 or 2 seed in your pod, you can have an idea of like who you're going to be playing. So that way, like I said, once Sunday night after the last pod happens, you'll know who you're playing. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, once Sunday night happens, and like as we get through the games and I start seeing who's going to finish where, I'll fill out the bracket on my spreadsheet that I created it in, have the names there, and then once we get to the finished one on Sunday, we can take another graphic of it and post it on the forum so everybody can see it. Okay. So yeah, that'll be pretty quick to turn around as well.
Well, I think it's time we get to the pods, and then we can discuss a little bit about each of the pods as we go over them. So here is pod A, our quote-unquote number 1 seeded, our highest seeded pod.
Yes. So I kind of already alluded to this, but Bastion is our number 1 overall seed. I just don't imagine anybody else being the number 1 overall seed as a 3-time world champion and he's currently the defending 2-time champion.
Yeah.
So I kind of can't put anybody higher than Bastion. I mean, he's the only other person that could even come close to him would be Chu, but even Chu, in my opinion, fails right now just because Bastion's got the 3 titles versus Chu's 2.
Yeah, and unfortunately, right now Johnny is retired. So I mean, we have the goat versus the German goat essentially.
Right. Yeah, and to be honest, I think at this point Bastion's now the GOAT. And we did have a couple of late entries here with Ryan and Kyle. I told everybody when I was making these brackets, I basically ranked the top 16 people and tried to spread those guys out. If you were 3 seed or lower, you kind of fell victim at times to preferred time slots and things of that nature. I really wanted to make sure everybody got a chance to play in the time spot that they wanted to play.
Yeah.
And the reason why, I know Casey just said that Kyle is at a 3 a.m. start. He messaged me literally probably 4 or 5 hours before we went live with the brackets, asking if it was too late. And I told him, I was like, man, I have an open spot because I don't want to have a bye. If you want to play at 3 a.m. your time, by all means, jump in.
And not only that, we have Kyle and Ryan Jelson they're both West Coast people, so 3 a.m. is going to be rough for them, and I feel so bad. But them's the breaks.
Yeah, and Grady's over in Africa, Bastion's in Germany, so this is kind of a pod almost all the way around the world at this point.
Exactly. You know what? I find this interesting because not only that, I mean, we have Bastion, Drew, who Coffee Pass.
In China.
Yeah, yeah, he's in China, and so this is 100% a pod around the world. So looking at the pod, you have to think Bastion is going to be the favorite.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sleep on Drew. Drew has been playing really, really well on Gemp right now, so I like those. Jelson, it's going to be interesting. I want to see who's going to be able to take down Bastion.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, Kyle's, he can be pretty much hit or miss at times. I mean, he's been a world's finalist twice. So he can play.
He just came off a top 4 finish at the NPC.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So there's that.
Kyle can play. Ryan is well known to play.
Yeah.
He's one of the few people I've heard Chu actually say he gets kind of scared to play if Chu ever gets scared to play, because he knows Ryan will, put him for a tough game.
Ryan also comes out with the most interesting decks, and I will say this about Ryan: him and his wife just won the team tournament at the Indoor Grand Prix. So,
yeah, I mean, Ryan knows what he's doing. Matt Carulli was a former design advocate, so I hope he knows what he's doing.
I want to say he came off of he had a top 10 finish at Worlds last year.
Yeah, I mean, I know, people don't always expect it, but he's almost always right around that bubble spot. He's playing for those last few winning ends and things like that. So I hate to sleep on him. I haven't really watched a lot of Gimp to see Drew and Matt or Adam play, but I know from talking to people that they're all fairly solid players. And Grady he's learning, he's getting better. He tries. He's not an easy out by any means. He can play and hang with anybody. I think this is a really strong pod all the way through. So I think this is,
it's going to be. I like this pod. It's a 6 a.m. start on Sunday.
Right.
So.
And I think it'll get us off to some good games early on. We've got a lot of potential for some good matchups.
Yeah.
That will start the day off right, and we get to see exciting, strong play right off the bat.
Well,
So,
yeah. So
well, if you're awake, I mean, I would. So,
I hope you're awake because I'm intending on sleeping because we'll get to that in a little bit. But so this is
but
Pod A.
so, and like I said, Bastion was my number one overall seed, um, and it just kind of fell that way. Like it was really hard trying to find people that were all willing to do that early morning start. I thought
Yeah.
we'd have a little bit more European players than what we did, and some of the European players actually wanted a later start, so whatever. But I didn't really have a strong 2 seed to put in here originally until Ryan and Kyle kind of signed up, so I was glad they did because it kind of filled in some one of the two people I probably would put at a 2 seed.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to Pod B. So Pod B would be essentially the
The
next
number
high.
2 overall, yeah. So,
Oh, I wonder who
for,
this is.
yeah,
Is
for
it?
anybody,
I was gonna say, is it Mr. Chris Goglin?
no, it would be Justin Desai. Unfortunately, Gogolin bubbled my top 8 too, just like he bubbles a lot of top 8s. I figured it was only fair.
Well, I mean
But
that
no,
is fair. He does make he. You know what? Goglin makes top eights, but then he drops from the top eights or loses, and then goes and wins consolations. So
right.
this would be a good bracket. So if we were doing a consolation, I think he'd be like, okay, I can make the top 16, bounce out of that, and go play in the consolation and make my money back.
Yeah. No, I mean, Gogolin was right there, and I actually had him as my 8th seed going in. It just didn't work out with the start times, and
That's fair.
so I bumped him down to a 2 seed and bumped up one of the people in that same group. I mean, we saw on the forums as people like Bastion and Joe were talking about,
Yeah.
the top 8 and who would be in that next bracket. There were a few people like Matthew Harrison Trainer, Steve Salucci,
Yeah.
Gogolin, that are right there along with the 1 seeds. And, it just didn't work out for Chris to get a 1 based on those time slots. But he's
Yeah.
every bit as deserving. Like, to be fair, Justin didn't really, didn't really catch any breaks for being a 2 seed.
No.
Usually as a 2 seed, you're supposed to get the 15 of the, of the next round, the next ranking. So he should have one of the lower 2 seeds, and instead he gets one of the higher 2 seeds in his bracket.
Yeah.
And then, as I've said on the forums, Justin Carulli, I think, is very underrated. Him and his brother are, Matt are nothing to take lightly. Like, Justin can play this game and can play it well.
Agreed.
Matt Scott is a fantastic player when he puts in the effort. He
Yeah.
doesn't always put in that effort. He sometimes gets lost in other things outside of the game, but he's really good at playing this game.
Yeah. I agree.
I think JC's been doing pretty good lately as well. So I mean, as Joe put in the chat, Star Wars is a really deep field nowadays. It no longer.
This is a pod. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, Justin is probably by far. I mean, this is no offense to anybody, but you got Justin up here. Everybody else, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a JC or a Daniel Lamar make the top 2.
Right.
Just because we don't know how people are going to play, because the meta is a little bit broader than what it was a year ago.
Right. And there's no easy outs really anymore. Like,
no.
Back in the early days of the NPC, it felt like the 1 seed, it felt like the NCAA bracket where you're never going to see a 1 seed upset a 16. And we may never get to that point either, but
yeah,
brackets are getting deeper. Like 2s and 3s now are starting to have to worry about some of their opponents.
Yeah. Okay, so that was our Pod B. Let's go into Pod C at this point. So, okay.
This would be our third number 1 seed.
This is a spicy little pod. I'm just going to call it. This is the Pod C pod, and it's quite nice because we have 3 Chris's in this pod.
Yeah. So Chris Kelly is my number 3 overall seed. He's our current design advocate. I've long thought Chris Kelly is one of the top players for the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything awful to say about the guy. I think he's one of the better players we have out there. I think he's fantastic at this game. So
I do too. The only thing about Chris Kelly that needs to be changed is the fact that he's a Yankees fan.
I don't even mind. He took me to the Yankees Astros game. He,
Okay,
I,
I'll remember that.
we sacrificed our chance to defend our team tournament titles to go watch Game 6 of the ALCS. So I'm not even going to.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
No, I think Chris is really good. Worfs was my number 2 seed in this pod. I've probably highly rated Chris Worfs for the last 3
Yeah.
years. I've thought Worfs was a fantastic player. I think, he kind of runs into some moments where he doesn't always make the right call, but I think him and Harpster are fantastic out of indoor. I think they can, each one of them could win an event in the blink of an eye.
I'm going to say this. I think right now Chris Worfs is the best player out of indoor. So
I think it kind of goes back and forth between him and Harpster to me. I mean, Harpster did really well at indoor and at the NPC, and he kind of took over. Like, it feels like Chris Worfs and Harpster kind of alternate their years. Like, one year Chris Worfs is on really, really strong, and then next year Harpster will come up. But I think they're both fantastic players. This pod also has the toughest player I had to evaluate in it, in Matt Sperling. I didn't really know how to rank him. I had him in my top 4, top 5 seeds. So, I mean, anywhere from, the 20s to the 30s, somewhere in that range. I just am not sure how to evaluate him. I've watched him, for a lot of people that don't know, I've been playing Magic for...
I was going to say, I just read that too, but continue. You've been playing Magic for how long?
I've been playing Magic since '96. I've been doing the PTQs and their grinding stuff since '98. So I've watched Matt play with one of the fellow Texans and David Williams at some Grand Prix, and they've done really well at them. Matt knows how to play Magic really well, and knowing how to play one card game usually transfers over to another one. Yes, Star Wars is a different beast altogether.
Not for everybody.
Fair enough, but I've long found that top Magic players usually transfer over their skills into other games fairly well. And I know Star Wars is a different beast, but man, like, I don't want to like underrank him and just watch him destroy a bunch of people that, he's just better as a better card player in general.
I will say this. Not only do you have Matt Sperling, you have Bill Kafer, who just came off of a top 8 at indoor. Bill has shown me in the last year that he's a capable player. So
I've always thought
this is going to be very interesting because I mean, don't get me wrong. I really don't know who Forrest is or Bobby. I know a little bit about Brad, and we have Chris Menzel, who's just a great fun guy to play. He builds some weird decks. He's kind of like a mini Scott, so I don't sleep on Chris. But
I mean, Chris is top 8'd Euros. He's top 8'd a Worlds in Europe land. I mean, Chris knows how to play. I've heard really good things about Brad. Like you're saying, I've long thought Bill is a capable player. It's whether he puts in the effort to actually do it is usually what holds him back. I mean, Bill's such a nice guy. He's not gonna roll shark you and do stuff like that. He's just gonna play the game. And
it really just becomes on with Bill if the Air Force will let him have the time to play.
Right. Well, and his wife and cats too. But
True. Like, Bill was supposed to be on our show going over analyzing some of these pods with us. Unfortunately, he's not. He's watching, but he's not here with us.
Yeah,
he's in here with Spirit.
Yeah, and this pod and Pod B, and there's a later pod. I had a couple of hard decisions when I was doing these. I went back and forth with these pods a lot because of the team aspect of it. I did not want to put Bill and certain people on his team together. Um, I tried to spread out the teams as much as I could, but there was one team that had like 9 people, and
Yeah.
you just have to suck it up.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. If that's, that team, just break up now, please.
No, because I have the best team name for them. I gave them Bill Fred's 1,000 red Luff balloons.
Okay, so this is our C pod or our Chris pod.
Chris pod. Yeah, I mean, it just so happened to work that it was also pod C with 3 Chris. Yeah. But no, I think that was a really strong pod as well. Like, I don't think there's really a weak pod in this. So if anybody was ever hoping for one, yeah, good luck. They're not going to be what I had posted on the forums, where it was Brian Fred, Ryan, and Chris Kelly, and Gogol, and whoever else it was. Like, it won't be that bad, but there are some tough pods.
Extremely. Like, okay. So, onto our D pod. So, I personally, this is the most interesting pod to me. We have
this pod is.
This is a tough pod.
Yeah, like, I know I feel bad. Like, Joe, yeah, you were my 4 overall seed. Unfortunately, you didn't get any favors for it. You kind of got a tough pod based on the time zones and or the start times and teams. I tried. It was worse than this. I had to play some moving around and musical chairs today, but this pod it's really interesting. Like, there's not, outside of Joe Olson, there's not a name on here that you would expect to be that 2 seed. Like, it's not got a Ryan Saracen or a Chris Gogolin or a Salucci or Matt Harrison Trainer. It's not, or it's not got anybody of that name recognition. But Adam, Justin, Mike, Patrick, Sam, they're all solid players I know. And
they're no joke.
Like, these are people that you never know what they're capable of. And, like, these are a bunch of, like, what I would say are probably 3 to 5 seeds rather than the strong 2 seed in here. But, man, this is... Joe didn't get a break for being a 4 seed.
No, he didn't. And looking right at this one, as soon as you saw, like, this is one that stuck out to me. 1, because of the time slot, and 2, because of the numbers, because of the people who have been playing well on Gemp. Like, a lot of these people are Gemp warriors. I mean, outside of Joe and Mike Kessling, a lot of these people haven't been to a lot of, like, real life events. So
I mean, Justin, I think Sam were at indoor.
Yeah, they were.
But I mean, Mike travels everywhere.
Yeah.
Mike Kessling is one of my favorite people to play this game. He actually he literally messaged me saying he only signed up to help support me running this event. So I can't say anything, but nice things about Mike. And everybody who signed up, thank you so much. Like, I really enjoy running events like this. So, but yeah, like, this pod, I'm going to be curious who comes out of this. Like, I can see a bunch of people coming out of it.
Yeah.
Like, good luck, Joe. Sorry.
We're gonna have good players not make the top 16.
Oh yeah, I mean, we said it before. We're no longer a 16 deep game. This is a game that goes probably 40 to 48 deep now.
Easy.
And you're just gonna have to run through brackets. I know somebody was saying, can we make each pod a pod of death? And or a group of death. And that's just kind of...
We kind of have. You kind of have.
I mean, I didn't want to make it easy for anybody. You got to play your best 4 games to get into that top 16. And one thing that we keep talking about is, we can see any of these guys make the top 16. With diff, you're going to have some 3-1s, and diff is going to come into play. And for... Adam or Justin or Sam or, those guys that don't really travel and are kind of newer players, they don't see the same kind of diff aspect that you need to see for match play like Joe or Mike or even Patrick will do. Like those three have been around. They've been to NPCs. They know how match play works. They know how to squeeze every little bit of diff
Yeah.
out of their games. And that's something that Adam and Justin and Sam in this pod may not realize how to do as well. And it's going to make it that much tougher to qualify when you got to go 3-1 with some good diff. I mean, you're going to see, we could potentially see 3-1s with, 60, 70 diff not make the top 16 just because that pod was so strong.
Yeah.
And, that's something that a lot of these players probably don't really recognize as well as, some of us older vets do.
Okay.
And I see Joe's pumped and ready to go, so I'm glad.
It's Joe. I mean, I'm going to say this, like, I know Joe has volunteered for commentary, and it's going to be fun just because Joe does well with commentary. I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah,
Joe's fun to watch.
Joe,
I had to play him twice at Endor. It was not fun, but it was fun at the same time because it was Joe.
Well, he didn't play his Asteroid Sanctuary against you at that Endor, so you're okay.
Yeah.
No, like Joe's not going to shy away from competition. Joe's going to step up and play his best. Like, I have no doubts Joe's going to do everything he can to win this pod.
So we're halfway done at this point. On to Pod E.
So this would be
this is our Saturday. Yeah, this is our 5th rank. It's also the Saturday morning pod.
Yeah, this is the first one we wake up to on Saturday to watch games for. And so we'll have some really good games out of this.
This one's going to be interesting. The most interesting point about this one is it has Scott in it. So if you're playing, whoever's in this pod, get ready for some Mind Which You Have Learned.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jared. I'm really I'm sorry, and I didn't even make these.
Yeah. So in this one, Brony was obviously my 5 seed, and I had Jared as a 2 seed. Mm-hmm. I also kind of had Jared as a borderline 1, depending on how things shook out.
I could see that.
I think Jared is a fantastic player. I think he's really, over the last year, like, he's shown a lot. Expanded his play. Like, he's been fantastic over the last year, and I felt like trying to reward him a little bit by putting him up in that that little part just in case. I know he says I'm crazy, but I mean the results speak for themselves. Like you put up a good result, I'm gonna notice. Like I watch almost every event that we do. I have a really good memory on who does what at these events. Like I can still tell you the top 8 from 2001 Worlds. So,
go.
Huh?
Go.
You go?
I want the top 8 right now.
It was in first seed was.
I don't care the seeding. I just want the.
Yeah, but I am. So it was Martin Atkinson. He played Brad Reinhold as the 8 seed. Your 2 seed was Bastion, who played. Or no, his 2 seed was Bastion, who played Kevin Shannon. The 3 seed was Brian Hunter, who played Andy McClure. The 4 seed was Hayes Hunter, who played Scott Lingo. And then Hayes, actually all the top 4 won their games. And then it was Bastion and Martin. It was literally a perfect 1-2, 1-2, 3-4, all the way through. So
good job.
And except Bastion won overall instead of Martin.
Yeah. Bastion. Yeah, that's the only reason we remember that one is because it was Bastion's first. So
it was actually the first Worlds I was around to remember. That's the first time. Yeah, I came back and started playing in 02, but I kind of started paying attention again around in 01 when they lost the license, and I started because I was on deck tech for Lord of the Rings, so I started following that one. And after that was when I reached out to Hayes to start learning about more of the game, and then Matt Lush and Justin Warren took me under their wings in Austin, and I'm now where I am.
Yeah. So on off our little sidetrack for a second.
Yeah.
So a little bit more about Pod E. This one's interesting because don't sleep on Wayne. Wayne, I was going to say because Wayne just knocked Chris Kelly out of the NPC this year as an 8 seed. So I wouldn't sleep on him. We talked about Jared. Jared, you just got to remember to be cautious of Ellis.
And you can't prepare for Scott.
You can't.
So just stop.
Auto loss. You know what? I'm going to say this right now. Here's my prediction: Scott's going to come out of this bracket as a 1 or 2 seed.
Possibly. I've seen what Scott's playing, so I'm not entirely sure. But it's Scott, so
Yeah.
anything can happen.
Hey,
I
I'm
don't.
going to say
I
this:
don't think.
Scott has made top eights before.
Oh yeah, I've played him in the top 8 before. He was at the top 8 in 2001 Worlds. I named him on there.
Yeah,
Scott can play.
he can.
He
Don't sleep on Scott.
No, don't sleep. I definitely wouldn't. I hope he doesn't sleep in and miss his start time. But
Well, you
yeah,
know what? He did go on record and say his wife and kids are gone for the weekend, so
right.
he might actually stay up the entire weekend.
He might. I mean, I hope he doesn't lose his wallet or cell phone or something at this event. He's got a vicious streak going that I hope he breaks at this point. But
Wow.
also,
That's a story for another day.
yeah, also a big bonus to him or Chris or Bill that we've talked about. Bill and Chris, Scott will not be driving you guys to this event, so you don't have to worry about a car of death to go with your pot of death.
Okay, so we're moving on. So, personally, I think this is the most stacked pod F. Like, top to bottom, this is a tough pod.
Yeah, this was my easiest pot. So this was my 6th overall seed, and it also had a couple of 2 seeds that I thought could also be borderline end of 1s, but they were strong 2s. So Brian Fred was obviously my number 6 for anybody who doesn't know. Brian is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. There's not much else to be said. It's just Brian. Casey and Ryan, I think, are both fantastic players as 2 seeds. And then, I wouldn't sleep on Batmouse. He's surprised me worse in Scum games. So he understands how to play. He can sneak up on people.
People who are watching, if you're in this pod with Batmouse, get ready for some Sando Aqua Monster. I'm just going to say that right now. Get ready for Sando.
Yeah, and then it's got Brandon, who is our resident historian for videographer, I guess.
He can play, too. He can play.
Yeah, he's picked up a lot over the last few years. I met him at the first indoor Grand Prix, where he was pretty new getting in, and, I don't want to be rude to him because I love the guy. He's done a lot for us, but some would say he was an easy out. Then that's definitely no longer the case. We do have though 2 easy outs in Dan and Jerry in this pod.
Really? Really?
You're playing. I'm not, so you can't get any retribution on me for that.
Hey, hey, Jared. I know Jared's in the chat. Jared, did I just beat you the other day?
Don't agree to that, Jared. No, look, Dan, you've been playing for a very long time too. You had some good finishes.
I'm joking.
No, I'm actually not. Like, you've had good finishes. You shouldn't. There's no reason to shortchange you. And I did take you guys up on the putting you and Jerry in the same pod, since y'all both gave me time slots that were similar. I couldn't pass up that chance to throw that in at the end. This is the pod that's playing at the last start time on Sunday. So
and I'm just gonna say this as a Hollow Theater prize thing. So anybody who's watching, and I'm gonna post this in the forum as well. I want everybody to rank who's gonna do better, Jerry or I, with our record and differential. Whoever's the closest will win a prize.
Wow, that'll be good. Also, I don't know how legal this is for me to say, so I probably shouldn't, so Casey's head doesn't explode. There could possibly be a super special prize to anybody who beats Dan and Jerry during the pod play as well.
What?
So yes, I may be giving out lots of prizes for this.
I did not agree to that.
I know you did. I'm throwing this in last minute because I wanted to add some extra flair to this pod. So If
You
you
know what?
beat Dan or Jerry, you will get something special. It may make Casey's head explode, but I have an idea, and we're gonna make it happen.
Yes, Chris, it is way too late to change your start time. You're going to have to let me know what the prize is, and will Jerry and I, if we win, will we get
Yeah,
the
you will
prize?
get it. Yeah, you will get it as well.
So if we win a game, we get the prize. If we lose,
Correct.
whoever beats us. Now, what if it's Jerry and I?
Well, then somebody's getting one of you is getting the prize, and the other is getting a prize as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Apparently.
this is the last one of the day, and I think it'll be a lot of
Yeah,
fun
this was
to
going to be
watch.
fun. You know what? The
Yes,
people,
Jerry, you have a target on your
the
back. It's a
people in this
giant
pod.
target.
You know what? I have no problem with the people that I'm in the pod with, except for skill wise. The people in this pod are going to be fun. Maybe
Yeah.
not Casey because Casey's
No, Casey-
legal.
Casey's fun.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got 2 pods left.
Yeah.
Pod G
So
is
this was
our
my 7th seed.
second start time for Saturday.
Right, and this had my 7th seed in it, which this pod I felt was really stacked. For a very long time, I had 6 people that I had in my top 3 or 4 seeds in this pod at one point. So I kind of had to do some maneuvering around because of that. Mainly because as Shaw was my 7 seed in this, but Salucci was right there
Yeah.
as a 1 seed as well. Salucci is a really good, strong player. He, made second at the NPC to really take off, his career lately. But he was, in the original top 8, I believe, of the OCS. I think he made it past the first round in the OCS as well. I know he's taken some time off because he's had a kid recently and everything, but I feel like he can just be a strong. And this also has 2 of my more underrated players in the pod as well, or in the, kind of underrated players in the game in general. Jared, who I think consistently gets underrated as far as what people think he's capable of.
So, speaking of Jared,
have.
I was just going to say, speaking of Jared, he just came off a second place finish to Hayes Hunter in the NPC.
Yeah, I mean, Jared can play. I have no doubt he could win this pod, but I feel like people consistently kind of put him in that 4 to 5 seed range rather than the 2 to 3 seed that he probably is right now. And so I feel like people really kind of undervalue him for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he could easily win this pod. And the other one that I consistently think gets undervalued is Nick. I know Nick doesn't really travel to events anymore.
Yeah.
I know he's kind of sold a lot of his cards, but I mean, Nick was right there last year for that wild card spot over the whole course of the season. I think he finished. No, didn't he make the wild card last year? I can't remember.
No, thank you.
But yeah, he was right there if he didn't make it, and he qualified last month for the OCS. But to be honest, even if he didn't qualify, he was really close in the running again this year for wild card, which is a culmination of a year long of being consistently good in the OCS qualifiers. Like, it's one thing to win a month. Like, you just have to be good for that month to really win that month.
True.
You just have to have some few breaks go your way to hit that 11-1, 12-0. Like, it's not easy, don't get me wrong.
No.
It's still really difficult. But to be consistently good to where you're putting up 8, 9, 10 wins month after month after month and not having that bad month to qualify based on the wild card is something that's really difficult to do. And Nick I think he would have done it this year, and he almost did it last year. So yeah, I mean, I could see any one of those 4 easily winning this pod.
Oh, agreed.
And I can see this pod being this could be that pod where we have somebody that goes 3-1 with like a 70 diff that doesn't make the top 2, but would have cleaned house in other pods. I don't know Chad or Steven.
Yeah.
I don't know them. So those are complete wild cards to me. Sean, I think, can play a little bit. Sean's kind of like me, where I think they can play. They can pull some surprises, but this is a tough pod for them to
Yeah.
really do that. They're going to have some really difficult times getting through those four. I mean, Shaw has been consistently good since 2002. But yeah, like, oh, Nick just said, yeah, he didn't have quite enough last year. So I think he was like one off last year. But I mean, Nick has been really consistently good.
Mm-hmm.
I've long thought Nick was a great player, and he just never really caught that break at a major event to really put his name on the map. So
Okay, so we're down to our last pod.
Oh,
Pod.
okay. So hold on. Oh, we just had a message in chat that chat is Ashnalo, and I'm guessing Steven is Jedi OSU, and he said he's new. Well, thank you for signing up.
Yeah.
You know, this is how you just get out into the community. I've always told people, sign up for events,
Yeah.
come out and play. You know, we try to be very welcoming and try to include everybody. I don't want to see anybody have a bad time and not enjoy this event. Like Dan knows, and lots of people know when I run events, I take it personally if somebody doesn't have fun. So I really want everybody to have fun. I really want everybody to have a good time, play some Star Wars, and I think that's kind of reflective overall of our PC advocate team, who are almost all the same way.
Yeah.
They're all approachable. They all want you to have fun. They all want you to, come out to events and just hang out. I mean, without new players coming in, this, us vets kind of take time off here and there. Like we said, Chew's kind of semi-retired right now.
Yeah.
We need new people to come in and take that spot and, come out to events and just hang out. Otherwise the game's going to die. The fact that it should have died, 20 years ago when they lost the license, we've continued on, is insane. So,
and next year's
yeah,
25th.
and thank you, Matt. Like, he posted there too. Like, I'm super pumped that he's out. Like, I mean, I never thought somebody that was so good at Magic would sign up for this game at this point in time. But here we are. It's crazy to realize that this is where we've gotten to as this game, and a lot of it is because of this program that we're now going to play on. So, Goglin said Chew is teaching his kids to play. Look out for it, 2030 world champ. I believe it.
You know what? I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah,
I would not doubt it. That would be amazing.
The first father son world champs.
No. 2030. Matt Carulli just said in the chat. 2030. That's insulting Q's teaching ability.
That is also true. I don't know how old Chew's kids are, but let's just say if they're 14, I think they have a chance.
I would put it maybe just 10. Come on, I've seen
probably.
I've seen the little girl who dresses up and plays Magic, and she plays really well. That's gonna be Chew's kids.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
fair.
Okay, so we got our last pod H.
So yeah, this was my 8 seed. They're our last pod on Saturday. This was a pod that fell to one of many different possibilities for that last number 1 seed. For anybody who can look at this and kind of figure it out, yes, it is MHT. It is Matthew Harrison Trainer. Matt is back. For those that don't know, Matt was really, really strong at the end of Legacy. Right before the reset, Matt was consistently putting up day 2 finishes. And in fact, I think out of probably 10 or 12 major events, he didn't make day 2 once over that span, which is very impressive. But this pod kind of fell down to that. Like I said, that 1 seed was between him and like Salucci and Gogolin, and I think, let me see, who is the other one? I think I had Chris Werfs as the other potential number 1 seed, and it fell down to that time zone spot, and Matt was the one that could fill that spot for me, so he took it. This pod, has a again, it's kind of like that Shaw pod where it's got, four guys that I really believe can, um, that would, consistently do well no matter where you put them. Like I would expect to see Connor or Gavin or Matt or Mike have a chance at any pod that they're in. Brad Reinhold was a former top 8 player. I don't know how much he's been playing lately, but he did top 8 worlds. Martin, I think, is a pretty strong European player. I've played him at one of the GIMP NPCs a few years back, and he played pretty solidly. I think he could do fairly well. I don't know Kyle or David.
Apparently, Chris
Uh,
Goglin has said that do not sleep on Woods. Brian Fred
yeah,
fears him. So,
I had saw from a couple of lists that David was, a solid player.
mhm.
I haven't been on GIMP as much as I probably should have before ranking, but I kind of went into this going, I'm probably going to rank the top 3 seeds and then kind of fill in the rest based on time zones. And I ended up doing the top 2 and basically doing that and trying to make things happen for teams. And then, if I could move some of the people so there wasn't a hugely
Yeah.
stacked pod, that's what I tried to do. Um, so, um, yeah, like I've heard from some people, don't sleep on David. Um, so, like this pod is pretty strong. I
Yeah.
think Kyle is our player out of Australia. I think that's who Jerry and
Mhm.
I figured it out earlier today. He did not give me a start time, so I stuck him in the pod with Matt, who is out in New Zealand right now. So
Okay. That's
I
fair.
figured if Matt was in New Zealand and he said this is the good time for him, that it should be fine for Kyle. So hopefully that works for him. If not, I do have a backup plan in case I need to make a swap for him. I don't want to tell somebody, well, you didn't send me something, so you can't play. I don't want to be that guy, but hopefully this works for him. I tried to
Yeah.
do what I could without having information. I'm hoping that since he didn't send me anything, any time worked for him as long as he knew about it. So hopefully that's the case. Um, Jared, he is Martin NL, I believe, is Martin on Martin. I'm not even going to try to horribly pronounce his
Yeah.
last name. I will butcher it, and I don't want to offend anybody. Uh, but yeah,
That's my job.
yeah. um, yeah, so this was the last pod on Saturday. It was the 8 seed. I still think it's a pretty strong pod.
Yeah.
Like, I I I don't see there's a lot of weak spots anymore. So good luck to everybody that's signed up. Y'all are gonna need it.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
Oh, sorry, he's actually Marty McFly. Jared, that's what he put as his name.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
it was Martin and L, but I guess I'm confusing that with somebody else.
That's fair. Okay, so those are our pods. We'll be posting those to the forums probably
Yep,
right after the
I'll post
show.
those. Yeah, I'll post those into the results. Feel free to jump on the forums and talk trash about my ranking skills in the pod discussion. Please try to keep the comments out of the game results, so that way my life is a little less hectic on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So also look onto the forums. Marketing will be posting like a pick'em game, like how we normally do with uh, the NPC and Worlds. We're going to do something a little different. This was Robbie's idea, so look for that in the next day or so. We'll hopefully
yeah,
announce
I'm
a little bit more.
still trying to finalize it. I'll spoil the beans a little bit for it. I wanted to create a bingo pod. I'm trying to come up with a list of 40 some odd things that people can fill into squares, and if you get a bingo, you get a prize. The first person to get a bingo will get something a little bit more special, but everybody who gets a bingo will get something. Um, I wasn't sure whether to do it like a pick 'em or try to make it more based on a viewership thing. I was kind of leaning viewership so people could
Yeah.
interact. It could be more of a community fun event. Um,
Watch all the
so
games.
yeah, just come hang out with me and Dan all weekend long.
Yeah, I believe me, I'm going to be. I got to go shopping for a bunch of Red Bull and other stuff. So
I think I still have a packet of G Fuel in the in the cabinet back there, so I'll be on that all weekend, I'm sure.
It's gonna be it's gonna
Um,
be a long but fun weekend. So
yeah, and like I said, if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Um, I hope everybody has a blast. I hope everybody's pumped and excited. I know some people, are kind of down on the meta, but you know what? Just come hang out, have fun, jump in Twitch, hang out with some of the streamers.
yeah,
We love the interaction. We love talking to people.
if you want to do
Yeah.
commentary, please volunteer. Again, we're
Yeah.
looking for people. Like I said, we only have about 8 people doing commentary, and some of them are playing, so they won't be
Right.
able to do games during their games. But we'll try and
Yeah, I
give us.
mean, we probably will have enough right now to manage, but the more the merrier.
Yes.
Don't hesitate to reach out to us about it. Like we can manage without you if you can't do it. Don't feel like you have to, but if you want to and you want to jump in, please just let me or Dan know. We'll get you into
Yes.
the Slack group. We'll get you, on the schedule, and we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Like
Also, another thing, as for commentary and streaming, what we're going to be kind of do like what we did with the MPC, where streamers will have their own Twitch accounts, and the PC main account will be featuring game as well as giving some breaks and like looking at other games as they play. So kind of like how the NCAA does it during their bracket season, they'll go bounce around. They'll see one game, and then you'll be able to click on another game and get highlights and stuff from that game and so forth. So
right.
it's
Yeah,
going to be a fun weekend. So
it's the channel to go to if you want to have any questions or about other games, or what's going on
yeah,
in the whole event. One of the things I also tried to do, and you can notice by the start times, is I kind of spaced them out 3 or 4 hours.
mm-hmm.
Like Sunday is literally 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, and 3 p.m. It's every 3 hours we start a new event. So, for about a 2 to 3 hour gap, potentially we'll have 2 events running at the same time, but there should always be something going on during those times.
Yeah.
On Saturday, we have 6 a.m., 9 a.m., but then the second event doesn't start till noon or 2 p.m. So that the first round will probably be over, and we'll have a little bit of a lunch break kind of potentially at that point, and then start for 2 and 6 round games. We'll have a little bit of a minor break. And that was just done to try to spread things out so we literally have a full weekend of watching games. I thought that was, best for anybody who can watch and play and everything like that. The way the league is going to work on GIMP, if anybody's curious, is they're going to be like OCS games. You can join and watch, but you're not going to be allowed to talk. If I notice this starting to lag GIMP for our players, I will have to potentially have them close it off. So don't just jump into 8 different games and start watching them.
Yeah.
Please try to jump into one and stay in one. GIMP is, it does have, I mean, it can get memory issues if too much is going on. So try to be courteous for those players that are playing and not join in a bunch of games to watch. But I am going to let people do it because of the way that we did the multiple decks to kind of get around scouting a little bit. But this way, if you want to watch a game that we're not broadcasting, you can. So
another thing is, if you want to see a particular game, hit up the whoever's on the the main PC channel. We will be more than willing to go into another game. If we want to see more games, what we could do is we have the Octo box. We'll get more Twitch accounts and just have them without commentary. If you just want to have that, let us know what you want. We are more than willing to do that.
Yeah.
So, and again, like I said, if you want to sign up for commentary, let us know. So I want to thank. So I think that's going to be a wrap up for tonight.
Yeah.
Look on the forums if you want to have any questions regarding your pods. Again, I want to thank Robbie for doing everything that he is doing regarding the event. I want to thank those who are volunteering already. I want to thank those in advance who are planning on volunteering now.
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
again,
I want to thank everybody who's volunteering. I want to thank Dan especially, because Dan has put in a lot of work with graphics and prizes. I really appreciate it, man. I would be half as good as I am at this event without you. So thank you a lot for everything. And thank you to everybody who signed up and played. This event wouldn't be here without you guys. And I really do mean that I want everybody to come out and have a great time.
Yeah, agreed. Again, so tomorrow, Hollow Theater will be back. We're going to have Justin Desai on again. Jared Napolitano is going to be on, so that's going to be an interesting one. We're going to talk about some of the history of the game, as well as some of. We'll talk about the pods. We'll talk about seedings. We'll talk about predictions and stuff. Again, every Monday, Chris Goglin will has his Hollow Theater or his OCS review. He was back this week after a week break. This is the last month for the OCS, everybody. Get out there and play. Looking at the standings, I know Chris does this, but I'm just going to plug it right now. Get out there and play. It's still anybody's field. Right now, Drew and Connor are 1-2. So it's
and
still
Connor, I think, has a chance to qualify via the wild card this month too.
So if you haven't got your last month in, play, get foils. I got some of my foils already, and they look amazing. So again, get out there. Like, I got I forget what month it was, but I got the foil Falcon. So get out there, play in the OCS one more month. We're gonna have more stuff coming up this fall, and stay tuned onto the forums again just for Worlds and everything to see what's going on with that. So again, that's gonna be Dan Plays for this week. We'll be back next week. Next week, we're actually going to stay on Tuesdays. I have personal stuff coming up, so don't look for Dan Plays on Thursdays. It's going to be on Tuesdays. So that's going to be it for tonight. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yep. Thank you, guys.